Welcome to episode 197 of your premier Kitty Pride, Lockheed, and Magic podcast. Let's get into it. Thanks, Wolverine, for that nice introduction. And today we're going to be reviewing Marvel Zombies Dead Days, kicking off Marvel Zombies month here at Shadow and Flame with Magic. Then we'll be reviewing Ultimate Wolverine 10, X-Men Age of Revelation Overture, X-Men Undertow, and Ultimate X-Men 20. So let's get into it. This turns out, and you can follow along with Marvel Zombies Dead Days with me on either my TikTok or YouTube channels, Jacko SII. I did a relatively short video, but here is the glorious X-Men Volume 2 gatefold cover. Try not to rip it, like, come on now. It always bugs me how the X-Men are attacking Magneto from behind. Like, that's not with honor. Master Splinter will be pretty embarrassed by Lee's mutants. But he prefers his mutants turtles, so, what are you going to do? So, this is brought to us by Robert Kirkman, who knows a thing or two about zombies. Sean Phillips, the artist. Color art by June Chung. Lettering VC's Russ Walton. And it says production by Marvel Bullpen, which is fun. Zombie Food is John Barber. Editor is Ralph Macchio. Editor-in-Chief Joe Quesada. Publisher Dan Buckley. And cover, after Jim Lee, Arthur Sidam. And this came out in July of 2007. When Spider-Man is webbing his way around, he comes to see Mary Jane and Aunt May. He's complaining about being bit by Colonel America, which gives us a hint that this is not your dad's Marvel universe. And then Mary Jane's checking on him, and the hunger strikes, and he straight up eats Mary Jane. And then we see the Avengers plus Luke Cage and I thought that was Iron Fist, but it's just a guy. And who is an Avenger? But this is clearly styled after 70s Luke Cage. There's an ad here for Mass Effect, the first game, so that tells you how old this comic is. Then high in Earth's orbit, asteroid M. Magneto's ashamed of allowing the infestation to get as far as it's taken, but he feels duty bound to, go save as many human, non-Marvel zombies as possible. And Fabian Cortez is probably already planning on surrupting Magneto. Nova checks in back in New York City. Nova checks in on Spider-Man, and Daredevil is quick to be like, kill him already. And Nova's like, kill him. And then, of course, that gives Spider-Man a chance to take a bite out of Daredevil's back, which if we're going to bite Daredevil, why go for his back? But I guess he didn't see that one coming. And then elsewhere, Colonel America's slated, but he's also loving the idea of eating more people. And so they're just going to commit to keep eating. And then there's a Jeep ad, which honestly, has anyone ever once went, hey, I'm enjoying my comic book. Here's a car. I'm going to go buy that car right now. No, just car ads in comics. I never know who that's for. Westchester, New York, the Xavier Institute for Higher Learning. And Alpha Flight somehow became zombies before the X-Men did and have gone to their old pals for a little snacky snack. And so we have Storm, Colossus, Wolverine, and Cyclops. Oh, and Nightcrawler too. In the garage, right, everyone? The Weezer song, we all were thinking it. And the X-Men are holding their own, as of course they are, because even as zombies, they're still Alpha Flight. And then Magneto shows up and just starts killing them all because he's like, they're zombies. There's no coming back from that. And we get our first appearance of Kitty Pryde in the Marvel Zombie verse. Because this is supposed to act, by this point, I want to say Marvel Zombies 1 and 2 are already out. And so, this is supposed to be the definitive origin, even though the Magneto scene literally says, what have I done? We have no way of... Oh, no, that's Fabian Cortez. Don't make excuses. Don't you see what's happened here? The thing we made a deal with, the thing we brought here, the virus affects mutants and humans alike. We've doomed the entire planet. So even that implies that the zombie virus came from another source. And Kitty says, "You mean there's more of these creatures, more of these heroes turn into monsters?" Because no one's even thought about using the word zombies yet. Then back in New York City, Hank Pym and Black Panther are trying to get away, but Hank's clearly been bitten, and Wakanda, and Black Panther recognizes like, "Hey, you've been bitten. You're gonna get turned." And Hank's like, "I wish you didn't notice that." And then he's gonna just grab Black Panther for a little snack later, where it's like, that's messed up. Also, a moment in time, X-Men 200 coming out with the David Finch covers, with Messiah Complex starting up, which isn't a bad crossover, but Kitty and Magic are barely in it, so my memories of it are not as strong. And then we get Sean McKeever's Gravity over here in the corner trying, and he's been zombified. But at least we got Gravity representation. I mean, Marvel definitely tried to make Gravity happen. And Sean McKeever, who I love. And then we see Daredevil, Spider-Man are zombies. Wolverine and Cyclops are fighting Pyro and Storm's fighting too. And Pyro and Blob are back there. And can you only imagine what happens once Frank Dukes becomes a zombie? Then we get the saddest part of the whole series, where She-Hulk has broken into the Baxter building and just started devouring Franklin and Valeria Richards, which it's just heartbreaking because Sue is just wrecked and Reed's sad, but he's not going to be sad for long. And then we see the Thunderbolts, which I love Songbird, but it's nice to see Atlas playing along. And this is 2007, so were the Thunderbolts even a property by then? And Meteorite's there, which is the first time I think I've said Meteorite out loud. But because she's usually the villain Moonstone, not usually, but I always think of her as Meteorite, but it's not a word I use too often. And then Thor's fighting everyone back, so that's nice. The god of thunder is representing. And then the Fantastic Four shows up. They rescue Nova, who's a bit of our introductory character here. And then we get this great two-page spread of all the heroes. And Kitty Pryde's next to Moon Knight, which I like for representation. I guess if Thing was next to them, it would be like, oh, what were they doing? Just huddled together first and then expanded. But I would have been fine with that. And who do we have here? We have Firestar, Speedball, Falcon, Black Cat, Thor, Sleepwalker, which my buddy Greg would like. Um, Ant-Man, who's I guess is different. Oh, probably Scott Lang, Jack of Hearts, Machine Man, Quicksilver, Nova, Scarlet Witch, who's standing next to Vision, but Nova's standing between Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, so that's awkward. Nighthawk, nope, Moon Knight, uh, Hellcat. I don't know, a white Deadpool, I guess. I don't know why I started naming these people. Iceman, Gambit, the big Warriors 3 guy, Volkstag, maybe. Cyclops, the Fantastic Four, Iron Man. Looks like he's in that Sean artist. Oh wait, is it Sean Phillips was the artist of Kurt Busiek's Avengers run? He might have been. So is that Armor? Iron Fist is there. Captain Marvel, the boy one, Wolverine, Colossus. Oh yeah, all of the Warriors 3 are back there. So that's fun. Fandor and Hogan, if I'm remembering my Marvel's Alliance correctly. Angel, Ghost Rider, Doctor Voodoo, Scarlet Spider, who I love. Um, War Machine. Oh, Moondragon is there. Storm. Um, Shang-Chi, U.S. Agent, Doctor Strange, which you think he'll be able to just solve the whole problem. Doc Samson, who's the worst. Tigra, nowhere near Moon Knight, so that would have been a fun callback. Spider-Woman, the Jessica one. Knight, Crawler, Wonder Man in his green outfit, nowhere near Scarlet Witch, which I like. Black Knight, Hercules and the Inhuman royal family. And so, U.S. agents not throw Magneto's there, but Wolverine vouches for him. And Nick Fury just wants everyone to start um figuring out how they're going to solve this problem. And Nova's just freaking out. Well, yeah, Spider-Man 3 is coming to games consoles, which were PS2, PS3, Xbox 360, and the Wii, and just the regular DS, and PCs with DVD-ROM software. And then Avengers Mansion Manhattan, Hank Pym shows up and he confronts the Avengers, and they're just like, we can't just keep eating people, but you know what? I like eating people, so we're just going to keep doing it. But at least he was the voice of reason. Spider-Man kills J. Jonah Jameson. Namor has been turned into a zombie. Doctor Doom feels like he's safe where he is. The X-Men fight the Sinister Six, which are Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Sandman, which how do you turn Sandman into a zombie? Mysterio, Electro, and the Vulture. One, two, three, four, five, and six. And then Nova is fighting off Fantastic Four villains, Mole Man, the Wizard, and a third person who I could have simply not named. Back aboard the Shield helicarrier in Reed's lab, and Reed's just like, man, the zombies, they're like the ultimate living organism. It seems like they killed our babies. Wanda's no more mutants as we're in the decimation era, and they're launching the endangered species backup features. Elsewhere on the helicarrier in Tony's lab, and Tony's just figuring out they just need to find a different dimension, and that 20 heroes will just jump into it. Then we get another gorgeous two-page spread of all the heroes fighting off. Zombie Spider-Man confronting both Scarlet Witch and Wonder Man. Thor defeating Black Knight, who's a zombie. Um, Wolverine and Captain Colonel America fighting off. Captain Marvel, the boy one, is now a zombie, as is Shang-Chi. So we lost those two. Cyclops is fighting someone. Carol's doing a cool upside down flip for some reason. I don't know. Some of these people, I mean, I know it's Marvel Zombie Rules, so it's like, hey, the quickest way people could die, that's just how we're doing it. But it's like, honestly, Doctor Strange can't just open a portal and just either put these heroes in there already, or like, where's Magic? Why are they not just in limbo already? Oh, Black Bolt's already been taken, and he's going after Medusa, which isn't great. And Iron Fist is having to confront Zombie Cage. And then, of course, our heroes start falling. So Nova gets bit by Carol. Luke Cage is biting Danny Rand. Hawkeye and Colonel America is biting Logan. Magneto's still holding everyone back, but he gives the order to retreat. And then back in the helicarrier, the Reed's lab, he has turned. I guess he did a tiny microscopic prick and has turned the Fantastic Three into zombies, and then they're just going to devour him as he wanted to experience it himself. Which, like, all right, Reed. Tony has created the machine, and so they're going to just figure out which one dimension to jump to. But then Zombie Four show up, and we get our last remaining heroes that we're at least seeing. You imagine some people have survived. I think Kitty's somewhere on Earth. But it's Nightcrawler, Thor, Colossus, Doctor Strange, Storm, which I wonder how the script is. Is it just like Robert Kirkman telling Sean Phillips, like, it doesn't matter who's at the end, just like draw the ones you want to draw. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm going to draw all the current Storm. That's my Sean Phillips impression. It's pretty dead on. You could tell, like, you knew who impression I was doing, right? Yeah, you got it. And so they're in a elevator of sorts, and they decide that they can't actually risk the zombies going to different dimensions. So Thor breaks the thing, which irritates Reed, and they're all turned into zombies. And so this world's done, and Reed's going to let's look for other worlds. Inside cover ad is fun. We get the Mystic Arcana magic one shot. I'm trying to do this so that I don't rip the comic. Like, come on now. And then the Ultimate Fantastic Four collects the zombie storyline, so that's just good synergy. And that everyone. Oh yeah, and then Black Panther, they were dealing with the zombies as well in issue 29. And I want to say we reviewed 32 on the podcast, right? It was something like that. You can engage below in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, which thanks everyone who does. And let's check out the comics that came out last week. But first, there wasn't too much comic news that oh man, I walked up the stairs and I'm a little winded. You'll never know when I pause this. Marvel and DC are going to continue making collabs, which is great. The next one's going to be Spider-Man and Superman, followed by Superman, Spider-Man. But in January, they're going to reprint, not but in January, they're going to reprint the 50th anniversary version of the original Superman, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man crossover. And then I think 2 months later, or in February, they're going to print the Treasury edition, which is when they meet up again and they fight Dr. Octopus and Lex Luthor, right? Or is it Lex Luthor and Doctor Doom? It's one of those doctor types you hear about so much. And then we'll get Superman, Spider-Man, followed by Spider-Man, Superman, which ideally they're going to give us backup features again, right? I mean, that was one of the best parts. I know on Blue Sky, I was like, I don't think I'm going to buy the reprints, but I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, well, it'd be fun to own a version of them, and I'm definitely not going to be buying the originals online. So maybe I'd be tempted to. I don't know. It depends on how much it is, and um, yeah, verdict's still out, but the Spider-Man Superman crossovers, I imagine that's a clear response to both people just being like Batman, Deadpool, that doesn't make any sense, and then people being like, well, I mean, they're the number one characters. But we're still running high on a Superman high. And Spider-Man movie coming out, it makes perfect sense. Like you make a Spider-Man movie or crossover, and it's like, well, who do you pair him with? And it's like, I don't know, Blue Beetle. Like, what an opportunity to elevate a DC character, but you might as well go Superman. I mean, S&S, it makes sense. They've teamed up before. Gives you a good reason to do the 50th anniversary print. So, do you need good reasons? Well, I do like how a lot of articles are like first Marvel DC crossover, and some old school fans are going to be like, well, actually, they made a Wizard of Oz crossover where they publish a Wizard of Oz comic together, which is a weird, like, why would they print a Wizard of Oz Marvel DC comic first? But I don't know, to test out the partnership, low stakes. Um, I don't know why that guy came to the show and was like, "Hey, I have an opinion to share," and I'm like, "Get out of here." Um, so anyway, so it'd be fun to see what variant covers we get. And let's get into comics of last week. So Ultimate Wolverine 10, spoilers for the comics of last week. Which now I'm realizing I did not write down next week's comics. So we'll have to just do that live. Issue opens with Ultimate Sabretooth giving Wolverine the Master Moon Sword, which of course I always think of Chrono Trigger and Glenn when I think of or read anything regarding the Master Moon Sword. Victor is going to leave the opposition with Artie and Leech. They're too young to be at the not going to be that much of a secret base, so they're bailing, which immediately makes me worry that Ultimate Sprite should be leaving when the leaving's good. I just have this dread that she's going to survive long in this Ultimate universe. Meanwhile, in your Russia, Ultimate Magic Colossus learned their brother Mikhail is leading the opposition. Some scientist goons arrive, revealing that a blank space on the map is actually an abandoned military base. Actually, not so abandoned. Omega Red volunteers to lead a ground assault as the gene bomb isn't ready. I'm pretty convinced that Colossus runs the field missions and Magic runs the country, as he seems to be the point person for this meeting. And she appears as the Euro-Russian representative in all the other books. Omega Red and goons arrive. I like how this Omega Red has a personality. That's pretty fun. He isn't just grunts and one-word responses. Ultimate Sprite and the rest of the opposition show up, and in a fun page-turn reveal, they send a box to Magic. What's in the box? It's Omega Red's head. We have 3 issues left, and who knows where we're going as we approach Ultimate End. And then we have X-Men Age of Revelation Overture. We launched the event that ends 2025. The best leader, Cyclops, and for some reason, the best mind, Beast, are brought into the future. Back to the future. I absolutely love how quick Cyclops is to adjusting to the future. He has a moment to process it, and then one panel later requests a sit rep. Mamio provides as much detail as he can as Glob shows up. Glob murdered a mutant working for Revelation who enhances mutant powers. Sala couldn't tell he was there, and as punishment, Revelation sends her off to kill his wife, Bay the Blood Moon. Before she can do that, Bay has sent a message to Apocalypse. So we have Apocalypse and Cyclops and Beast, I guess, trying to fix this future. There's no references to Kitty Pryde or Magic, so I'm going to give this comic to Walker D when it comes in. There is a map that shows the current country, and I love me a fictional map. This will show off in all the books of October, so one of them will be a keeper. Maine's largely uninhabited. Limbo Land, ruled by Darkchild and Juggy, the best of buds, take up New England. Washington, D.C.'s nuked. Haven House is just outside Revelation's sphere of influence. South America's climate has changed due to storms change of the Sierra Desert. Texas sought its own independence as it would do on a fictional map. San Francisco is the United States capital, which is fun, and Alaska is not part of Canada for some reason. Then we get X-Men The Undertow, which now consisted of 2 sad stories. The first half is lifeguard story. She wasn't able to go into the white hot room as her stepmother is sick because lifeguard's powers instinctual, and she preserves all the humanity as a threat. She starts leaking pores that make non-mutants sick around her, including her stepmother, who was already super sick. Lifeguard runs around Australia causing mayhem as disease. No one's dying, but they take a lot while to get better. Lifeguard gets advice from her pal Steve and heads to the ocean to become her own island, in which her body expands to the island size and she's stuck in the water. It's all very, very sad. Then we get Beaks and Angel's family are the stars of the second story. This one's also sad, but at least ends on a high note. One of their kids is sick, one of their daughters, and they're heading to Alaska to talk to Beast. It's also Thanksgiving, so they brought a vegetarian dinner. Magic and Juggy are simply the best as they play with the kids. Beak goes to Beast as the cure for their daughter's disease should be ready. Unfortunately, this isn't Krakoa Beast. It's 70s Beast, who somehow is considered the best brain the X-Men have right now. He's never met Beak. He doesn't know anything about the daughter's illness, but will start on the cure. It might take months, though. At dinner, Quentin Quire tells the kids about a time Beak saved a slew of humans on a mission. As Beak and family head to the airport, he really should have called ahead. Beak cries to a dude in the bathroom. We have all been there. Turns out the dude is a doctor who Beak saved from Quentin's story, which is just good storytelling right there. And he promises he's going to assist in helping the daughter. So that's hopeful. Hopefully people buy this issue and we can finally get lovable Lockheed in print. And then we end on Ultimate X-Men 20, another great issue by Peach Momoko. The X-Men defeat the Shadow King, but they did it too publicly, forcing President Sunfire to establish the Mutant Registration Act, which we hate. Futaba recognizes Viper from the Children of the Atom Cult, who's standing now by President Sunfire. So now she knows the government and the cult are working together. Sunfire's prepared to unleash his My X mutates on the X-Men if they don't quiet down. I love how Cannon learns about the connection and immediately runs off to create a peaceful motorcycle rally. And that's where we end. And I think they also got 2 issues before Ultimate End kicks in. And let me grab my phone for next week's comic. All right, so we have Amazing X-Men #1, which we're pot committed to, as they should be dealing with Dark Child. Avengers 31, where Kang is confronting the team. Storm's still there. Binary 1, where it's Carol Danvers in the Age of Apocalypse. Nope. Age of Revelations. Um, Laura Kinney Sabretooth, which I don't. Okay. Long Shots 1 with Duggan and Hickman back in the Mojo world. The cast doesn't excite me, but I know issue 2 is supposed to have the X baby, so we see a Shadow Kitty is there. Um, the War to Come 3, which I've given up on. Marvel Black, White, Blood, and Guts 1, which I need to buy the Joshua Cassera X-Men Halloween cover variant cover. Spider-Man Wolverine 6, which starts a new arc, I imagine. Spider-Man 94, issue 2 by my favorite writer, Spider writer, DM DeMantis. Strange Tales 1, which doesn't have magic listed to appear in, but Nico is wearing this very cute witch's outfit in the preview pages, so, that's nice. Ultimate Black Panther 21, I don't even know if Storm's still appearing in this. And then War of Revelation 1. And then we'll be doing another issue of Marvel Zombies. So, what am I most excited about here? I guess Amazing X-Men 1, World of Revelation 1, which is a bunch of mini stories. The preview page showed the Franklin Richards and Wiccan. I know Danny Moonstar is supposed to have a issue to set up her X Avengers book. Anything else to get excited about? Marvel Zombies or Marvel Black, White, Blood, and Guts. It's not marketed as any X-Men participation, so I guess Long Shots, Binary, Sabretooth. I mean, I guess those are all second tier excitement levels. But yeah. The Marvel Zombie book would clearly be the lead comic, and then yeah, Amazing X-Men 1 for sure we will cover. And then we'll see what else gets discussed. Lighter week, which is nice. And everyone, that was episode 197. You can follow me online at TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky at Jacko SII. And the podcast. Oh yeah, I got picked. Well, I guess it's just going to be the cover and those two images of Kitty Pride. For the podcast is socials at S&FwM. The end spelled out on Instagram and Blue Sky. And thank you so much for listening or watching, and I'll talk at you next time. All right, everyone. Bye.